Hi everybody, this is Crypto Rich, working with you to get rich with crypto, filling our pockets with crypto profits. I have with me another exciting up-and-coming cryptocurrency project. They have been on my channel before, and big things are happening with this project. Now, before I introduce their representative, please subscribe, follow me on Twitter, CryptoRichYT, join my official Telegram announcements channel, because that's where I post all my stuff that I put out. If you're watching this on YouTube, come over to BitTube, which is a censorship-resistant platform. You can also earn Tube coins. You can also find me on Bitchute and on Library. And if you are watching this on YouTube, well, you could have watched it sooner on those other platforms. If you want to know which cryptocurrencies or altcoins to invest in for long-term, medium-term, or short-term, or to trade in, then take a look at Tokenmetrics. Tokenmetrics uses artificial intelligence-based crypto indices, rankings, and price predictions to give you the best possible altcoins and cryptocurrencies to hodl or trade with. Use my affiliate code for a massive 10% off and 3 months free on the yearly plan. Link in the description below. Hey Christian, thank you so much for making yourself available. You are one of the is it Conflux? Conflux. Conflux, that's right. Conflux is something else. Conflux, C-O-N, Conflux community. I have featured Conflux before, and I'm just very quickly going to say what I think it is, and then you can say a little bit about yourself and add bits that I've missed out.
Yes.
Super important. So it's designed by a super duper computer programming genius from Toronto. That's what I understand. I can't remember his name. And it has a very unique coding structure that instead of if I think of Bitcoin as like a long train, all the blocks as carriages, this uses something that's like a tree, where the main branch, whichever one that the most miners use or whatever, is the one that, whichever's the fastest, is the one that sends all the transactions and stuff. So it keeps finding paths of least resistance and speed. It's incredibly fast. It's a platform protocol, privately funded, no ICO, no pre-mine, no dev fund or anything, as I understand, and a decentralized organization. Is that accurate? Anything important I've missed out?
I mean, you've touched base on a couple of things. What Conflux Network is. So the genius you were talking about is Long Fun, right? One of our co-founders and the initial founder who wrote the paper out of which Conflux was born. And yes, he's currently also an assistant professor at the University of Toronto. And after that, you talked about the consensus mechanism, right? So Bitcoin has the longest chain rule, right? So you see it as one line essentially, and all forked blocks, which happens while mining, get disregarded, right? Whereas on Conflux, what we call it, we have a tree graph mechanism, tree graph algorithm, which does not disregard the forked blocks, right? So some people might know a DAG structure, DAG structure, when it comes to consensus mechanisms or algorithms. And this one is even a bit more leveled up, I'd say, tuned up a bit. And we can utilize all concurrent blocks, right, and reference them. So none of the computational power goes to waste, right? When I say none, right, around 98% of all blocks produced and the information, the transactions within will be utilized and written on the blockchain. There are always these maybe 2%, 1% of forked blocks that don't get regarded because they don't have a reference edge or a parent edge. So we have a reference edge as well, besides only the parent edges in the longest block or in the DAG structure. We started back in 2018, back in crypto winter, right? That's where we started our fundraising. Yeah, it's not a good time, but we managed to secure $35 million back then. And it was mostly from traditional VCs. And one of them was Sequoia China. And other than that, we also had Huobi investing in us and MetaStable and other reputable VCs within or without, like outside of the crypto circle. Yes.
Very good. And it is a decentralized organization. Or it was then when I covered it in 2018.
Yes.
Community organization,
yes.
Yeah.
So we do have a Beijing office, a Shanghai office, and the Shanghai office is actually a research lab. We can get into that later. But we do have our technical people decentralized, and some in Shanghai, some in Beijing, some in Switzerland, right? Some recently, one of our Hungarian developers, he came back to China. Yes. And yeah.
Okay.
Decentralized as it is.
Yes. And
we also have people in Africa, in Nigeria, or in Toronto, or in the States. Yeah.
Okay. And do you want to say what it is you do and introduce yourself a little bit, please?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Chris. I'd like to regard myself as one of the community members from Conflux Network. And I've been with Conflux since over a year now. And one of my main tasks is to expand the community and the influence of Conflux outside of China, where this project was actually born. So since then, we've partnered up with many blockchains, enterprises, and blockchain projects, enterprises, and other forms of partners outside of China, right? So a lot of my work is community maintenance, market expansion, and partnership building. And right now, because our mainnet is launched, and something we have done before as well, is to reach out to developers, projects, or entrepreneurs and convince them to build on top of Conflux, right? Because we have this great public blockchain that utilizes the tree graph algorithm to be fully decentralized and reach TPS up to 3,000 to 6,000, like a high throughput, right? And it needs to be used by people. So we welcome all the developers to come to us and develop on top of Conflux. And the easy thing is, for most blockchain developers, you probably don't even have to use a new language or learn a new language, because we are Solidity and EVM compatible.
Right. Okay. So somebody who would, say, look at building an application on Ethereum could very easily build it on yours because they can do it with Solidity, right? But let me ask you this, right? Why? What are the advantages that Conflux offers compared to all the other platform protocols? You know, like there's Ethereum, EOS, Polkadot, Komodo, Skycoin, Veriscoin, many others, Tron. Why Conflux?
So one of the things to start with is decentralization, right? We are strong believers of the Nakamoto consensus, and don't believe in the level of decentralization when it comes to proof of stake or any other forms of it. So we do have miners. So essentially, the tree graph is a beefed up version of POW, of the original version. So we believe this is true decentralization when it is all written in the code, right? And when we only talk about tech or the protocol on a protocol level, no one else could reach 3,000 to 6,000 TPS while on POW, right? It's only something we could have done. But I know that many people actually, they're like, we don't really care about it, right? We want to see what's the ecosystem. What can we get? Why should we join your community? So we have been working on a community since the very first day. And right now we have around 100,000 community members worldwide. And it's mixed. It's traders, you have developers, and we also have university students in there. But I can talk about this one later. We have also a grants program, right? So people can join us and develop their application on top of Conflux, because we are Solidity compatible. If you are a developer out there and you have developed something on Ethereum, right, it would be super easy to migrate it and deploy it on Conflux, right? We have tutorials for that. And we have a lot of tools for developers that can do that. And I think one of the questions many people ask is, okay, so Conflux Network is another network. So how do you get the assets, right? How do you get assets from? So, I mean, everyone who has been in the crypto space knows that this year was a big year of DeFi and also interoperability, right? So bridging different blockchains and the assets between these to let them flow seamlessly is also something we have done. So we have a protocol called Shuttle Flow Protocol, where people can send their ERC20 tokens into a uniquely created and automatically created wallet address, right? Which again gets stored in a custodian wallet that is multi-signature on Ethereum, and then the same amount gets minted onto, let's say, your own Conflux wallet address, right? So for let's say, for example, for USDT ERC20, if you go through the shuttle flow process, you will have CUSDT on top of Conflux minted, right? And if you want to move it out again, the same way, it's one click. It's super easy. There's no process of doing 5 to 10 steps of getting your assets from one chain to another chain.
Okay, so you can move them back and forth.
Yes, absolutely. So, for example, I have one example. We have a new project in our ecosystem. It's called Flux Protocol. It's a lending and borrowing platform. And from there, right now, still not available, but in the future, you can use Conflux tokens as a collateral, right, that you put into the platform. And then with that collateral, you can borrow CUSDT on Conflux, right? So you can have it in your Conflux wallet, but you can also directly withdraw it onto your MetaMask account and use it on the Ethereum blockchain if you want to, right?
Okay.
So this shuttle flow, this interoperability cross-chain process operation can be implemented within the dapps itself. So it's easier for the users to use.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So let me go with this. So you can build with Solidity and other languages as well on top of it, and build applications. 3,000 to 6,000 transactions per second, which really means no congestion, no bloat, because that's more than credit card companies per second. Certainly more than PayPal, and you can move it's interchain interoperable on and off chain.
Yeah, assets are interoperable. Yeah.
Yep. And there was something else you told me in a Telegram exchange, which is that there's no fees, transaction fees for sending Conflux.
Yes. So the Conflux Foundation sponsors the transactions of the native CFX tokens, but other tokens that are within a smart contract can also be sponsored. So if you, Crypto Rich, were a DApp developer, right, and you wrote your first application, it's stored on the Conflux network, so you have a smart contract, right, and you have the wallet to connect to that smart contract as a creator. What you can do on our Conflux scan is to apply for sponsorship, right? So once you click on the sponsorship, you'll get the Conflux Foundation will sponsor a certain amount of CFX to come up with the gas fees and the storage fees. Yes.
Right. Okay.
But this also enables a whole other world when we talk about bigger dapps, right? If you look at the traditional industry, people have to pay for the storage pays, right? People have to pay for the connection. People have to pay for the servers and everything. And many of the big companies, let's say Amazon or in China, Alibaba, Taobao, they either pay for the storage fees or the transaction fees themselves, or get someone to sponsor them. So if you are a dApp and you want to bootstrap it, so your user does not have the confusion of, what is this transaction fee I have to pay for when I just want to send something or interact with this application, but you as a developer, or maybe even as the investor of it, you can just sponsor certain amounts of the transaction fee into the smart contract, so the end user does not even notice it, right? The end user just clicks on done and finished. There's no hassle like on Ethereum. Right now on Ethereum, if you use it, first you open Gas Now or Spark Pool, one of the exchanges, to see how high the gas fee is, right? And then you manually input it according to which one you want, and you press enter, and then you have to think a lot on how much transaction fees I'm going to spend. Is it worth it if I'm going to spend this? But I mean, if you're a whale and you invest $1 million all the time, or like your transaction, the assets of your transaction are worth more than $1 million every time, then maybe you can neglect the amount of gas fees, right, that you spend. But if you want to bring it to the masses, to the unbanked people, right, like $4 to $5 might be all they want to put into, right? And then you have to pay the same amount or even more of transaction fees than what you even want to put into the platform. It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Yep. No, absolutely, and that can be a real disincentive to utility, and I've experienced that myself. Okay, now two questions. One quick answer, and the other one I want to go back to something you said. So the transaction fees. So how much are the transaction fees and the transaction times without the sponsorship ordinarily, And then I want to go back to mining. I want to ask you a bit more about the proof of work consensus. So how much are the transaction fees without sponsorship? How fast are the transaction times?
Oh, the block confirmation time is 23 seconds.
Okay.
But if you give me your Conflux wallet now and I send you one CFX, it'll be there like in 23 seconds. You'll have it. It'll show up. It'll be on the network. You'll have the hash key. It's super fast.
Okay. And how much is the fee without the sponsorship?
It depends on the application, to be honest, right? We do have a storage fee. So the first time, for example, I want to send you CUSDT, right? I do have to pay for the storage fee the first time, right? But after I have spent the storage fee the first time, which might cost 0.01 or 0.02 CFX, the second time I don't have to spend it anymore. Right. But then you still have to spend for the transaction fees. But it's so little. It's like maybe like not even a cent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, thank you. And then proof of work. So you believe, Conflux believes that proof of work means the greatest decentralization. Now, is it ASIC mineable, GPU mineable, or CPU mineable? If it was CPU mineable, it would be even more decentralized. I could start running it on my computer.
Yeah, right now it's GPU mineable. We are anti-ASIC for the very beginning because that brings a lot of like centralization once you have these ASIC machines.